Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So one of my subscribers was asking for a Timelord deck profile. So this is a very budget deck, by the way. This deck does not cost that much. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the deck profile. Starting out, we play 3 Time Maiden. This is a very standard card in all Timelord decks. So essentially, if you control no monsters, you summon it from your hand. It's treated as 2 tributes for the tribute summon of a Time Lord monster, because keep in mind you normal summon them. You contribute it to add a Time Lord with 0 attack, so you can't add Sandy on. And then you can banish it from your graveyard and summon a Time Lord with 0 attack from your deck. Alright, so I'm just editing the video right now, and I just realized that I had forgotten to mention the turn you use the effect of Time Maiden, where you can banish it from graveyard to summon a Time Lord from deck. You can only special summon once that turn. So if you summon Time Maiden from the hand by special summoning it, you actually can't use the graveyard effect that turn, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. So just keep in mind, if you're summoning Time Maiden from the hand by a special summon, you won't be able to use the graveyard effect that turn. But if you've normal summoned it or something like that, then it's fair game to use the graveyard effect. Alright, that's all. So next, you play 3 Michion the Time Lord. So all Time Lords have these stipulations where they can't be special summoned from the deck. If you control no monsters, you can normal summon them without tributing. They cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects, and you take no battle damage from attacks involving the card. And at the end of the battle phase, if it battled, it gets a certain effect. So this one, if it battled at the end of the battle phase, you half your opponent's life points, which is just really insane. And then during the standby phase, they all shuffle themselves into the deck. So yeah, definitely Michion's probably the best one. Next we have Sandion, which is the second best one. So it has the same normal effect, except you can only control one Sandion. If only your opponent controls a monster, you can normal it without tributing. So yeah, obviously this is like very, for example, like if your opponent controls no monsters, you can't normal summon this card, which kind of sucks. But yeah, it is what it is. Essentially, what it does is neither player takes battle damage. And at the end of the battle phase, if it battled, inflict 2,000 to your opponent. So this is like, Michion can keep halving their life points, but it won't get you anywhere unless you can finish them off with something like Sandion. So these 2 are probably the best ones. Well, these 4, actually, the 3 of us. We'll get to all of them. Next, we have Lazion, the Time Lord, from the is the next 3 of. This is our best first one because essentially at the end of the battle phase, if it battled, shuffle all cards in your opponent's graveyard into the deck. So that's really cool. And if your opponent draws a card, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. So that's a really good one. And obviously these all shuffle themselves into the deck during the standby phase. So this is another one of the good ones. And then we have like the last really good one for damage, which is Raffion the Time Lord. I think this is the most underrated one. So essentially what it does is at the end of the battle phase, if it battled, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the attack points of the monster that it battled. So like, for example, let's say you're playing against Chaos Max and you attack into Chaos Max at the end of the battle phase, they take 4k. So that's just crazy, and I think this card is really, really good. These are the 4 3-ofs that I'm playing, and then obviously the Time Maiden. So we have Camion the Time Lord as the next one. So again, can't be summoned from the deck. Same regular conditions to summon themselves. So basically at the end of the battle phase, if it battled, you can shuffle a card your opponent controls into the deck, and if you do, inflict 500 to your opponent. And neither player can activate cards or effect in response to this card's activation. So essentially, like, it's just a way to get rid of their cards without having to deal with any problematic things. It doesn't target, doesn't destroy, it shuffles into deck, and they can't respond to it. So it's really good for clearing boards, and I think this one is one that I considered moving up to 3. So yeah, definitely a really good one. We have 2 Zaphion, the Time Lords. So this card is really cool. This one is good against the spell trap decks. If it battled, you can shuffle all spell and traps your opponent controls into the deck. which is really, really good. And then if it's sent from the field to the graveyard, you can draw a card. So that's just really, really insane. It's great for decks that don't need the normal summon as well, just not Time Lords, because they can normal summon this, get rid of all your opponent's back row, and then they can make Almirage and draw cards, which is really cool. Yeah, this card's really good, but the only reason we're playing 2 is because we don't always know that we're playing against back row. So yeah. Next we have 2 Gabrion the Time Lords. So essentially you can either play 2 Medion and a Gabrion, or 2 Gabrions and a Medion. I think Gabrion's better than Medion, but yeah. So essentially Gabrion, what it does is you, if it battled, at the end of the battle phase, if it battled, shuffle all cards your opponent controls into the deck, and then they draw a card for each card shuffled into the main deck. So, for example, most boards just end on like a full extra deck board. You just attack into something, shuffle everything back into the extra deck, and they don't draw anything, which is just absolutely insane. And even if they draw a couple, that's fine. You've just cleared their entire board. So yeah, and then we have Medion, which is the next one. So this one, what it does is at the end of the battle phase, if it battled, return as many monsters on the field as possible to the hand, other than it. And if you do, inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each card returned. So, so this is like the annoying part about this one, is that it's only monsters. Gabrion has the versatility of being good against the back row decks as well, which is why I'm playing this card over the Medion as a 2-of. So that's it for all the Time Lords and the monsters, and now let's move on to the spells. We're playing 3 Celestial Transformation. This card's absolutely amazing in this deck. So essentially, you special a fairy from your hand. Great. That's just great. That monster's attack has halved. No one cares, these all have 0 attack. You take no battle damage, so it doesn't really matter. And also, it's destroyed during the end phase, and these all can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. So it doesn't matter, it won't get destroyed. So essentially it's a free summon of a Time Lord during your turn or your opponent's turn, which is really cool. Yeah, just a great thing. So this is like, you know, I think a really good card in the deck to play. So we have 3 Dark Holes. Obviously your cards can't be destroyed by card effect, so you can just wipe your opponent's board. These can be Kaiju Slumbers as well, but Dark Hole is just more budget, and I'm trying to keep this a little bit more budget for all the budget players out there. And then we have 2 Mound of the Bound creators, 3 Mound of the Bound creators, and the 1 Terraforming. So essentially this protects level 10 or higher monsters in the field from being targeted, which is absolutely insane, because now they can't be destroyed by battle, by card effects, or targeted by card effects. And if a level 10 or higher monster on the field destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, the player who controlled the destroyed monster takes 1,000. So Sandion is the only one who will destroy stuff by battle. So you attack over something, inflict 1,000, and then at the end of the battle phase, inflict 2,000. So you're taking 3,000 from that, which is just really good. But we mainly play for the protection. The last option that you have is you can also play Sphere Mode. So essentially, what you can do is just play one of these and cut out the Terraforming. That's up to you. And then you can go ahead, and when this card on the field is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can add a divine monster from your deck to your hand. So it can actually search out Sphere Mode, which is really cool. But the problem is, if your opponent gives you Sphere Mode, then you really have no out to it. So yeah, that's you know, it's really up to you if you want to do it or not. But for now, we are not. So onto the traps. We are playing 3 empty machines. So basically, we have 3 empty machines. What this card does is discard a level 10 and draw 1. So by the way, the first time it would be destroyed by an opponent's card effect, it's not destroyed, which is really cool. So you can discard a level 10 monster, draw a card, and if it's the only card in your spell trap zone, you can target a Time Lord monster in your graveyard, shuffle it into your deck, then you can set an infinite machine directly from your hand or deck. So we play 3 of this one because it gets us to the next one, which is Infinite Machine, which we only play 1 of because we can only activate it by sending an empty machine from our spell trap zone to the graveyard. So so once per turn, this face-up card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So this one is once while face-up. This one is once per turn. And once per turn, you can activate one of these effects. You can special a Time Lord from your hand, or you can target a Time Lord in your graveyard, shuffle it, and set an Infinite Light from your deck. And your Infinite Light, if you get this card up, it's basically an auto win. So you activate it by sending Infinite Machine to the graveyard. It cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Neither player can target Time Lords you control with card effects, or return Time Lord monsters from your field to the deck. So that's absolutely insane because it just keeps all of them on the field. And once per turn, if you control no monsters, you can special summon up to a Time Lord monster with a different name from your hand, deck, and graveyard with different names, ignoring their summoning conditions. That's absolutely insane. Like, say you don't even have one in graveyard, that's fine. You just summon one from hand and deck. It's just crazy. It's absolutely insane. So essentially, the way you do this is, like, let's say your opponent has 8,000 and you get this up, right? You go for Michion and Sandion. So you'll attack with Michion, you'll attack with Sandion. Alright, at the end of the battle phase, they'll go down to 4,000 life points, then Sandion will put them down to 2,000 life points. And then you can overlay into Gustav Max and burn them for the last 2,000, and that's game. So just absolutely insane card. Yeah, this is definitely, like, if you get this up, then you pretty much always auto win. And then the last card that we're playing is 3 Torrential Tribute. Again, this is just a nice going first play because our Time Lords can't be destroyed by card effects. So that is the main deck. Now, I'm not really going to go over the extra side because you don't need it. I'm just going to say this is just about everything that I would say you need. Right? The rest of them were all Cherry's targets. So this is just about all you need, right? You don't even need this to be fair. Like, you just need the main deck, but it's nice to have, like, the rank 10 engine, right? This is, like, nice to have, these 4 cards. And if you don't, then you don't. So, Gustav Max for the burn damage. Super Dora, you actually don't need this, but this is cheap. So, like, actually, you know, these are all cheap, except for Lieb. So, these 3, this is spot removal. You really don't need this one because you already have spot removal. Yeah, honestly, I think Gustav Max and Juggernaut Liebe are the really only ones you need. So Juggernaut Liebe just really helps with the OTKs, and Gustav Max helps with finishing your opponent off. But other than that, this is pretty much the only extra deck that you need. So I think this is just a really cool deck, and someone was asking for my Time Lord deck profile, so here it is. And yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed, and see you in the next video.